So I am more excited than ever for tonight's training because personal branding and branding is personally my favorite thing in the world. And this is what's going to set you apart in social media and in your online business or whatever you're creating. So this is like the glue that puts everything together. It's going to be amazing. Erica says, getting caught up with myself after a crazy rehearsal week. Krista says, I'm so happy to be here. Yes. Okay. So personal branding. What comes to mind when you hear the word branding or personal branding? What comes to mind for you? Like, what do you think of when you think, oh, branding? What comes to mind? Just put it in the chat. And at the same time, if you were to think of your own branding right now, or like what you put out there right now, what comes to mind when you think of your brand? Or maybe you're like, I don't even have a brand. This is new. Oh my God. Maybe you're like, oh, okay, let me think about my content. What does it feel like? If you were to describe what it felt like, what would you say? Erica says, I don't have an intentional brand. That is okay. We will dive into how to create one tonight. I've just been me so far. Mm-hmm. Oh, Carissa says, not sure that I have a brand yet, so I'm happy to be learning this. And Carissa, this is going to be amazing, and also so amazing that you're doing the social media audit, because that's going to really help you cultivate something really incredible. So that's amazing. Branding, I think of a vibe or a mood that is being put out. Yes, my brand is me and my family. I love that. So branding, and especially the industry that we're in as, personal brands, whether we're a coach or not, we're personal brands. Even if we sell a product, even if it's network marketing, no matter what it is, we're a personal brand. And the magic of this, it gets me so excited because it brings in not just like, how do I use Instagram? How do I post on Facebook? We get deep with branding. Branding is about mindset. Branding is about authenticity. Branding is about confidence. So branding right now, the amazing thing is once we cultivate an incredible brand, no matter what platform is popular, no matter what new things happen, if you have got a brand, your business is going to work. Your business is going to work wherever you put it. Your brand is the same on your website, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your TikTok. We're not going to talk about TikTok, but that was brought up in my mastermind, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. But your podcast, your emails, everywhere. Okay, so branding is about stepping into your authentic self, because branding is how you stand out online. Branding is why I'm going to choose Tatiana over someone else who does the same thing. It's because, oh, I like her vibe. I like her branding. I like her. She's like, ooh la la. I'm like, yeah, got you. You know what I mean? Your branding is you. And that is incredible. That's the most empowering thing. But it's also can be kind of scary. Because we're like, oh, shit, now I've got to stand out. Oh, my God, now I've got to show my personality. Now I've got to show the world who I am, because that's truly being authentic. And we're not here faking things. We're truly showing ourselves. And then all of a sudden it can become something like, who has ever felt like this? Like, oh, my God, what if I share this and I love this, but what if someone doesn't like it? What if I post this and this is so me, but my family is like, oh, my God, what is this? What if I post this and people are like, oh, I don't resonate. I'm not buying from you. Like, what if I truly show up on video showing my personality and people are like, ugh, not buying that. And that feels like they don't like me. They don't like my authentic self. The people don't like me. And that hurts. So this, to me, branding is the most incredible thing because it allows us to show up in our true selves and our true power very authentically. And the more authentic we can become, the more powerful our brand is and the more connections we make. But it's also can be scary to be like, this is me and this is what I'm sharing. That can feel really, really scary. And that's where this is not just strategy. This is like, who am I? What am I sharing? Okay. So we're going to dive in to all things branding, personal branding tonight. And I'm so excited for it. So let me just bring up what we're going to dive into. Okay. Going to share my screen. Okay. So branding. Let's make this big. So like I basically just said, your personal brand is you. Your brand is you. Right now, it's less about the colors, less about the fancy logo, although those things are cool and important and they will absolutely set you apart, but your branding is you. Your branding is your vibe, your energy, your personality, the colors, but not just colors in graphic designs, but like the colors you wear, the way you do your makeup, the way you do your hair. Your brand is the spot that you take your photos and you're known for that spot. Your branding is the way you like to pose, your expressions. It's your facial expressions, the vibe, and the emotion that people feel from your content. Your brand is so much more than just shooting pictures to a graphic designer and saying, can you make this look good? Your brand is everything. If you're in Confidence to Cash, you heard me talk about how your brand, you have a brand whether you want one or not. You have a brand whether you're building a business or not. And it also the fact of when you go to the grocery store, you're still you. So you still should be in alignment with your brand. You should still be in alignment with how do I show up on the internet? Is this how I would show up in real life? That's how authentic it should be because it's you. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It just means that your brand is you. Okay? So if we're to break it down, a brand actually composes of 3 different things. Our body language, our voice and our tone, and our spoken words. So right now, even a lot of you on this training are like on here and you're maybe watching me and you're in a vibe and you get my energy because I talk a certain way, but what goes in one ear goes out the other. A lot of you, and if you watched my training in the yesterday in the Courageously Confident community, I talk about being in people's energy. A lot of people are like, I just want to be in this person's energy, and that's why they follow you on social media. That's why they join your programs or do your things, is because of your energy. So if you look at what a brand actually cultivates, it's mostly your body language and mostly your voice and your tone, and very actually small percentage is what you say. Isn't that crazy? So we sit there and we think for all night, what am I going to say tomorrow? What am I going to say tomorrow on social media? What am I going to say on the live stream? What am I going to say in my post? What am I going to say in the stories? Yes, what you say is important, but the way you say it is more important. And that's exactly what does this tell us about how we can show up better on social media. Knowing those things right now, that your brand is less about what you say and more about your body language and your tone. What does this say right now of how you should show up? What does this say? What does this mean? And Carly says, this is going to be good. Yeah, it is. What does this say? This is the funnest part about building a business. And all I want to talk about right now so bad is sales and money and selling, but this is not the program for it. It means we have to show up with energy, Erica says. Yep. Because I could say, oh, Krista says, need to show up in positivity and happiness, energy for mine, I think. Yeah. So I could say something the way I would say it as Stephanie Schultz, and someone beside me could say the exact same thing, and you might resonate with the way I say it, and someone else may resonate with how the person besides me says it. And they're going to choose me or they're going to choose them, not based on what we're saying because we're saying the exact same thing, but based on our vibe, our personality, our body language, our expression, whatever one resonates, right? Mary says it means we get to be ourselves. Yeah. And that is like, I bring it back to the very beginning, is like that can be the hardest thing sometimes, because the greatest fear is showing up as ourselves, right? So it's less about what we say and more about how we say it and who we are when we say it and the energy we want to give off, right? And so what blocks us in creating relationships and impact on social media is that sometimes when we get in front of the screen, we get afraid and we're not used to it and we don't show off how we truly are. There's like a block, and that comes with time and practice, right? Some of like, I'm used to it now. I've been on it for years, but some of us are like, oh, this is still new. Oh, how do I talk on live video? Oh my God. How do I talk to my Instagram? This is weird. Who am I talking to? Like this comes with time and practice. Even with written posts, there's an energy. You can feel an energy behind, something you say and you try to be a robot, or something you say and you just put it out there and that's your vibe and your energy. People can feel your written words. I just made an IGTV that I'm dreading to share. I bet it's amazing. And I bet it's like, you just got to put it up there, and in a year you're going to look back and be like, that was my first IGTV. And look how much I've grown. Kara says, I love that, who we are when we say it. Yes. Because who here has tried to say something on social media, but you're in a bad mood? You're like, I just need to post. So I'm going to post this and it's going to be the happiest post, but I'm really mad. And then it feels really weird to post. It's like, okay, that I should have waited till a different time to do this, right? Even if it was just words. Like, I'm so mad, but I'm going to make everyone be happy and pretend I'm happy right now. I'm going to post this. And it's just like, it doesn't work. Doing stuff in low energy is, that's correct, right? So what this means is that what we have to say is important, but how we say it and being our authentic self is more important. So this means showing up with confidence in our body language, engaging in your body language, right? So it's not being closed off, but being like personable. Like, this is so important on social media and all the different avenues. Not being super far away in pictures and videos. Pictures where it's your face, or say from your waistline up, actually perform better on social media than far away pictures and full body pictures, because of the connection that you create. So just something to think about, right? To relax. Now, if we're scared and we're stressed about showing up, that's, again, something that's going to come in time. But you can tell a difference when someone's on video, they're like, I'm so nervous, or someone who's relaxed. And you're like, okay, if I make a mistake, or okay, if I fumble my words, or okay, if whatever happens, you're fine. It's confidence in yourself. And again, that's why this isn't just, I can't teach you confidence. You've got to build confidence yourself, right? Talking naturally and not lecturing. Again, people want to feel like, okay, I'm part of this, I'm connected, I'm learning from you, but I'm still part of the conversation. I feel connected to you. It's a relationship. A lot of the times people get in front of a camera and all of a sudden it's like lecture voice. Hello, everyone. Well, I don't know why I sing when I try and do lecture voice. I don't even have a lecture voice, but we start to sound like robots all of a sudden when we put the camera up. Like, what? And it's not saying that that's bad or wrong, but it's just, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect, right? So it just means being real and saying what you want to say. I challenge you not to make notes when you do a live video anymore. I challenge you to do a free masterclass. If you do masterclasses or webinars or things like that, don't have notes. You know what you need to say, or at least have like 2 bullet points if you really need something and you're like, oh shit, I lost my train of thought. You know what you have to say. It's in you. So if you come across in a way of like, I'm going to share this and it's going to be authentic, it's going to feel like a conversation, people are going to be so much more intrigued than like, I need to read from these notes, these bullet points, and here's my lecture. Like, it's 2 different vibes. It's 2 different energies. So being real. Your brand is also perception driven. So the way people perceive your brand is based on the experience of them. And this is something very important that we need to remember, especially when the fear comes in of like, oh my God, what are people going to think of me, this post and this picture, this story? Everything is a perception based on our own experience. So the way you see my brand is different than the person beside you in this program, the way they see it. You're still here, but the way you see the branding is differently, right? So someone might see, you know, a brand and be like, oh, that's so bold and I hate the way they're saying that and I don't resonate. Whereas someone might coach a very similar thing or sell a similar thing and their brand is more colorful. Like, you know, when I think of mine, it's colorful and bright and positive. Whereas someone might have a dark brand and they're like, oh, I don't like that. It's dark. That means low vibes. I don't resonate. But they really teach the same thing. But we're attracted to different vibes based on our own human experience. So it's just something to kind of let go of the pressure to be yourself, because there's someone is meant for your brand and you're meant for someone. So don't feel like I'm here for everyone. Your brand is meant to captivate your ideal people. And just be unapologetic about that. And that's the biggest struggle that I've had to overcome in building a business in the online space, was like, I want everybody to like me. But once I decided, hey, this is actually me, and it's maybe a little more polarizing, but it's me, I attracted the right people. And then business grew. So when we just decide to be ourselves fully, we attract the right people, and we want the right people. So what you create creates you. So what do I mean by this? Is that if you don't have a full like picture right now of your brand, or you're creating your brand, I'm not saying don't ever post until you've cultivated your brand. I'm saying create, and your brand will create itself. I don't want you to sit down and be like, what's my favorite color? What's my favorite font? What do the colors mean? I want you to just be you. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, this is the vibe. This is who I am. So I say here, consume less. So you're in your own lane, being your most authentic self. Create more of what comes to your own mind, what you want to share, what you feel like sharing. Learn more about yourself. What do you love? What do you not love? And then take action by putting it out there. And then over time, you're creating a brand. Courageously Confident. I didn't sit and think, what should I make my brand? Courageously Confident came to me after I sold the first round of that program. It was a fitness program. I called it Fit for Life. Fit for Life. And then I was like, this is not right. What am I actually creating? And then it created Courageously Confident, my fitness program. And then that turned into my whole brand, the community, the podcast, my summits. It turned into everything, but it took a journey to get there. So create, and then you're going to create your brand. I'm going to see what people are saying. Yep, I've done that. Doesn't work. I love going live now. It's something that used to scare the crap out of me, and I think it's a great way of showing how human we are when we make mistakes. Absolutely. We aren't robots. Absolutely. Very easy to see others and think we need to be like them. No, and I have to tell myself this often. Absolutely. Especially because we're in a space where there's very similar industries. There's a million of us all now. Like there's a million human design coaches. There's like even new things. There's like a million of us. So it's very easy to see like, oh, she's doing the same thing that I am. What's her brand like? Or what's she saying? And it's very easy to be like, oh, my way of saying it isn't good because she's saying it that way, right? I like you polarizing. Thank you, Erica. Kara says, LOL, when I first started, I got caught up in the colors and feels and what shapes I liked. It's completely shifted now because it created itself. Yes. And who I am as a woman and a mother, right? Like I remember even a year ago when you were in the first social media program that I did, like 2 different worlds, I think both of us, like because we created ourselves. And our brand is still evolving. No, like as you evolve as a person, your brand evolves. And I think that's the coolest thing as well. It's the coolest thing as well. Awesome. This is so good. Okay. What you create creates you. So sometimes, and let me know if you guys can relate to this. This is kind of funny, but really a journey of what it can feel like. At the beginning, or even anywhere, your brand can feel like I'm confused. You feel like you have no idea what your brand is. You're disconnected. You have no idea who you are, what you're saying. You're not sure what to post or how to post it. You're all over the place. There's no cohesion. One day you're hot pink, the next day you're black and white. Your message is all over the place. You're comparing yourself to others. You're scrolling and seeing what other people are doing, and you're just like, I'm confused. Who am I on social media? Confused phase. And then it turns into experimentation of like, okay, what am I really about? What do I really want to share about this topic? Trying new things on, trying out new things, new ways to post, experimenting, gathering information of seeing like what's working for other people and trying it in a way that works for you. It's not copying, but saying, oh, she does things like that. Cool. How can I try this? See how it feels? Experimentation with your brand, with your vibe. Then you become confident and you're like, I feel good about this. You found a flow. Things are working. Okay, I could vibe. And then it comes to branded, you're branded, and you've actually like self-actualized. You've actually are in a place where you're like, I am authentic. I am me. I am happy. I am confident. You've made your brand. You're happy. It's known. You have brand awareness. You love it. People love it. People start to resonate like, oh, you're the girl who likes this. You know, like literally branding on steroids was the fact that Eric's parents bought me a unicorn. And then the next day I had a stranger, well, a quote unquote stranger on my Facebook DM me a unicorn video and said, I thought of you, Stephanie, when I saw this video. And I was like, fabulous. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing. There's no unicorns in my professional branding, but I use the emoji. And I've maybe proclaimed myself as a unicorn here and there. But like, it's that subtle, but also that impactful that people are now think of me when they see a unicorn. So is there something right now where you're like, oh my God, people think of me when they see this thing or this color or this vibe or this emoji? That is like, you are known. You're known by people that you don't even know about. Branding is what people remember about you. So it could be as simple as a unicorn, a color, you know, like I wear this all the time. I always talk about my pink lipstick, but it's also a feeling. It's how people remember you. Like, oh, I get this like, I've had people in the last couple of days say things like, I just love to hear you talk. So they love my energy. They love the energy. They love the feeling. So when you can create things like, oh, I'm remembered when I think of this, this, and this, or see these things, but also I'm reminded of Erica or Kara, or Tatiana or Sarah, or whoever, when I feel this certain way. I'm reminded of them because of their vibe. That is huge brand awareness, and that's huge. That means that you've made an impact on people and you're remembered, and that's the coolest thing. Branding is why someone buys from you. And that's what I was saying earlier is I can sell the same thing as someone else sells, but they buy from you because of you. I connect with your energy. I'm going to buy from you, right? I love the unicorn. I feel like I'm in experimentation right now, but jumping into confidence every once in a while. Heather, that's amazing. You're on your way to confidence. So right now you're trying things on, what works, what doesn't work, what are other people doing, what does it feel like for me? And that phase is like the fun phase. So if you're in experimentation phase right now, don't feel like, oh, I don't have a brand. No, have fun with it. Be open to, this is me discovering what I love, and just have fun with it. And over time, the cohesion of what you love is going to turn into your brand. So have fun with that right now. Okay. So branding is why someone would follow you. Say you post workout videos, say you post recipes, say you post about food, say you post whatever it is. let's be real. I always bring it back to fitness. How many accounts post workout videos? Well, on the last module, hashtag fitness had 350 million posts. So, I mean, there's probably a good chunk of people who post workout videos. So if I'm looking for workout videos, I'm not going to follow 350 million people. I'm going to follow a select few that I feel like, oh, I like hers. Oh, I like her. It's not even the video. It's not even the exercises. It's the vibe. So Stephanie Schultz, this is a fun question. What type of workout person, for everybody in here, would you follow? What type of workout video person would you follow? And what I mean by this is I would follow someone who's a woman, who wears bright workout clothes, and who looks cute in the gym, like I'm just being real, and is happy working out. I think of Whitney Simmons. I follow Whitney Simmons. I think her workouts are ridiculous, but I follow her because I like her. And that's the psychology of social media. Heather says, when I started posting photos of me this past year, people started buying. Yes, because you became more than just a thing. Aha. I've been playing with more personal fun posts and I'm getting more interaction and real followers, so I'm doing something better. Yes, Erica, that is incredible. Chris is like, I love Whitney Simmons because she's so bubbly. Yeah. And like, how many times have you really brought her workout to the gym and be like, I'm doing Whitney Simmons' workout that you probably know how to work out better than she does, but you still follow her because she's fun and bubbly. Like, that's just what it is. I would follow someone who is a woman who portrays confidence, is happy, is real, and acts human, right? Like, you wouldn't follow the girl who, like, you have butt implants. You wouldn't follow her. You'd be like, this is a real woman. Maybe you'd follow a mom because you relate. I don't know. I would follow a woman who either blows my mind with athleticism or someone who is fighting an autoimmune disease and making strides in progress. Yeah, because you relate to that. And Kara says, I would totally follow a mama. So just think about things, right? It's like I believe there's no saturation in our industries when we are truly our authentic self, because people are relating to you because of who you are, not because, oh, I just need a fitness trainer, Google the first thing that comes up and click on it. That's not how we do things anymore. We buy with who we relate to. Agree a bajillion%. And we not just buy, but I mean like follow. That's who we follow because we relate to them. We feel a vibe and we have an emotion with who we're connected to. And then we want to experience that emotion over and over again when we're scrolling. I would follow a woman, definitely a mom, because everything changed for me, body and health, when I had a baby. Also someone who is also an athlete outside the gym, because that's what I like to do, right? So it's all like almost a mirror reflection of us, or what we love, or what we want ourselves to be like. So it's kind of a cool exercise. Like, who would I follow when there's a million of us? Who would I follow? I love that. Okay, let's keep going. So branding. So branding is translating you, yourself, your offers, your vibe through social media, through the screen, through all of your content and your energy. It's being able to take your personality and put it out there so people can feel it. It's because we're more than just what we sell. We're a person with a personality, and that's what captivates people / sells / makes someone follow, makes someone stay engaged, makes someone join your group, whatever the sell means. We are a personality, and that is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing, okay? So things to think about that just enhance you. What is more natural for you? Do you like to write or do you like to speak? Do you like pictures or do you like graphics? Like graphics or pictures of you? Maybe it's a mixture of all. Do you like live video? Do you like making pre-recorded videos? Do you like, doing live things? Do you like Instagram story every day? Do you like post? Do you like writing long things? Do you like emails? Like, what do you love? How do you feel like you can express yourself the best? And this can be a mixture of a lot of things, and it should be for strategy purposes, but where do you shine? Where do you feel like your most authentic self? And this might change over time. as you change as a person. But it's important to show up in all the places, in my opinion, but also show up maybe a little bit more in the places where you truly feel like you, so people can truly feel you and your energy and your personality, and that's what's gonna work. So we create your vibe in your content and your personal branding. So just examples, and it's just very short of like, you guys see my stuff. So this is a mixture of professional and an iPhone photo, and this was at like my summit, a live event. The vibe is bright, the vibe is happy, the vibe is confident, the vibe is fun and sassy and sexy. Like, that's the vibe. Whether you look at a picture or whether you see me on video or whatever, it's all the same. So I can just like pull together 3 different things and show like that's how it can look. And even though some of my professional branding or all of my professional branding looks different, the colors don't match in every program or everything. It all just goes together. It all has the same vibe. Okay? Now, this is something that I wanted to share with you guys. A lot of us think, okay, if I'm making a professional branding photo, I need to be in a studio with a photographer. This photo was taken on my iPhone, and Eric took this photo. Now, there's a vibe to my face. There's a vibe to my face. It's like sassy, like you want to get confident, you want to make some motherfucking sales online, like that's the caption. The vibe on my face fits the description of the program and is like, this is a whole vibe. So we don't always have to have professional photos done in a studio. I'm all about it. I love it. You guys know I am. I love that kind of stuff. But sometimes if you can catch your energy and your vibe better than a photographer can, because there's a disconnect, take your own photo. And then I handed this off and boom, it created the most epic feeling. I need to look at my branding and be like, that's the feeling. This one, well, that's a vibe. Now, this wasn't a studio because I didn't feel like covering myself in glitter in my home and trying to take pictures of myself. But this is like a studio picture. This is like, you can tell my face is a little bit like brushed up. I don't have that perfect skin, but I wanted it to feel like next level. Like, this is magical. Like, this is for my mastermind, like next level. That's what I wanted to feel like. Serious face, like we mean business, but we're also magical unicorn. Right? Like, just notice the feeling. Like, you don't even need to read the words. You're just like, what is this? What is this? That's what we want to create. Okay. And we'll get into that in the power story in a minute. So what's coming up? Sam says, I've got to run. It's all good. Michelle says, I love IG stories. I love IG stories too. Yes, yes, yes. I like posts better because I like to put thought into them and what I'm saying, but I'm trying to push myself to do a variety. Yes. So a variety needs to happen because people are everywhere and people consume differently. But just noticing, where do you thrive, do more of that, and then get better at where you don't like to be. Get more confident. We don't go where we don't like to be because we're not confident there. So if you're hiding from video, you're not confident there. Get on video, let it be awkward, it'll be okay. If you're hiding from photos, it's because you hate taking photos of yourself, or there's a disconnect there. If you're hiding from IG story, you feel awkward on IG story, right? So just look at why you feel not so good in those places and work on it. It's a self-confidence thing. I'm noticing that I'm sticking to stories because that's where I thrive, and I'm hiding from posts enough. And I'm hiding from posts. Post funny enough. And that's very interesting. So wondering what's stopping the post vibe, but feels really good about the maybe. So here's the thing too, like there's a lot of power in IG story, but sometimes it can feel like, oh, this could be super like not professional. I don't need to, like if I sell on here and it doesn't work, like it's okay. Like maybe it's like a safety thing because it's less formal. Whereas on a post, maybe sometimes we feel like this has to be really good. And I'm afraid if it's not really good, then I don't want to post it because what if it doesn't get what I want out of it? Like we put expectations on it. So look at where you don't want to be and why you don't want to be there, and be like, okay, it's a mindset thing usually, a comfort thing, a confidence thing. Okay? How are you guys feeling so far with everything? It's more about a vibe. It's more about personality than anything. Erica says, my favorite is being inspired around observation or up-leveling and writing about it. That's amazing. That's amazing. And doing more of that. Kara says, I'm loving this. Okay. So we're getting into another part of branding, which is storytelling. Now, a lot of coaches, very mainstream business coaching, say sell through story, sell through story, sell through story. Well, this is branding through story. Before we get into it, Heather says, feeling great. Yes, I'm so happy you made it live too. It's very fun live. I'm learning to encompass all of it, get out of my comfy zone, Erica. Yes, that's what it's all about. So storytelling. When you think of storytelling in terms of branding, not storytelling to sell, does anything come up when you think of storytelling and branding? Do you know what this means? I'm curious. Or you're like, no, just Steph, just tell me. Stop asking, just tell me. Everyone's just like, just tell me. Okay. Our real life. Okay. So storytelling in our branding. The power of story. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Your story, and I'm going to get into what this all means for you. So your story is your identity, and your identity is your brand. So we all have a story. We all have multiple stories. So this is the thing that your specific ideal follower and clients remember you from. Like, people know this specific story about you. And if you don't have a story, we're going to create stories in here, and people are going to know this. So a story, I'm going to get into what it is, but we'll get through these points. You want to repeat your story over and over in your content, probably 2 or 3 times a month. On your IG posts, in your IG actual, like your story, you share your story, you talk about your story, you tell your story on video in all the different ways. Why is this important? Why is sharing your experience, your own story important? Because people see themselves in your story, they can relate. It gives people hope in, oh, I can get there. We connect with story. Why do we love reading books? Why do we love watching movies? Why do we love watching TV shows? Because there's a story. We feel related to them. It's the same with our brand. People buy because of your story. Your story is part of your identity. Like I said, your story is still happening. Okay? So what do I mean? We'll get into this. So your story is what, again, separates you, because it's part of your brand, from someone else. It helps you sell because clients connect to pain, and like pain to pleasure, pain to results. It's entertainment. Your life is a movie. Your life is a reality TV show people are watching. It teaches a lesson like we learn in books and movies. We have our own story. So, for example, I share the story of my first time investing. I invested $7,000. How many times have you heard me say the story? The first time I invested $7,000. And it was for 3 months. And I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, well, let me ask Eric. And then I did it. And then 3 months later, it was $30,000. And I was like, oh my God. And then I did it. Michelle's like, many. And then like 9 months later, it was $60,000. And I was like, and then I went from making $500 to making like 70 and 80K. Like, how many times have you heard this? You've heard this, if you know me. My other story, especially when I was in fitness, I feel like I could tell this story myself, yet I'm not bored of it. That is the kind of impact you want to create with your own story. My fitness story, now I don't share it as much because I don't really sell fitness anymore, but my fitness story was, I was overweight, not confident as a teenager. I developed an eating disorder. I hated myself. I found happiness and confidence, and then I found a love for the gym, and there's my before and afters. It's a story that's told over and over and over and over and over again. People know it like, oh my God, this is me. I was through this. People are like, oh my God, yes. Another story I started to tell, like when I dove into it, like specific social media coaching, is like social media changed my life. How many times have I talked about the date, October 6th, 2012. I think I made the mistake of saying 12th. That was my first Instagram post. How many times have you guys heard me say the date of my first Instagram post? Like, yes, we freaking know, Steph. We can go on stage and tell your story, because I tell it because you're listening when I'm telling a story. You're like, oh, on what date? Oh my God, I can't believe it. Now it's 2019. Oh my God, your first investment was $7,000. Like, what? Oh my God. Even Erica, Melanie tells my story. My coach tells my story to her people. And then all of a sudden her people are like, I heard your story. Like, who are you? Like, your story is your journey through many different things. It doesn't have to just be what you're selling. It's like your journey. If you're selling fitness, you most likely have a fitness journey, a fitness story. If you're selling business, you have a business journey story. You have something you can tell. If you're making investments or teaching people about money, you have your own money journey. If you're helping people with families and relationships, you have a relationship story. If you're helping people with food, you have a food story. And so what happens is people say, my story isn't good enough. My transformation isn't that drastic, so it's not good enough for me to share, so I'm not going to share it. I could have said that about my, 7,000 the first time. That's not good enough for a good story. I gotta, nah, I can't share that. Like, no, that's huge. To so many people, that's mind-blowing. Like, that's huge. Oh, you lost 10 pounds? Like, that's amazing. It should have been more. My transformation pictures need to look better, or my story's not good enough. Guilty. I felt this before. Guilty, right? Oh my God, this is everything that's helping me see my awesomeness. That's amazing, Erica. So our story is something we share over and over again because it's our story. We're like, I went through this. The other story is the recent story of me losing my father and my grandpa in the same month. And then being like, how do I do this? And then I did it. And I'm literally still writing the story of that because I'm still I don't know what the answer is, but I'm living the story and I'm telling it along the way, right? So our story is just what we're going through. And it's perfect because someone out there is listening and relating to wherever you're at. And this is building your brand because you share your story. And look at all the people who said, I could tell your story. Yeah, I've heard it a million times. Yeah. But it's like when you think of that story, where you hear that story, you still relate. It's like, oh my God, like Michelle said, I'm not bored of it. Michelle's like, I heard this a million times, but I'm not bored of it. That's what you want to create for your people. Like, I have this story and it's impacted my life so much, and I'm just going to keep sharing it because I know people need to hear it. Does the story have to somehow relate back to what you are selling? So I will get into this right now because I knew this was going to come up. So when to tell a specific story in terms of if you're selling in your business, and again, this can mean selling or leading people somewhere. So for example, my investment stories, I share when I'm selling higher level investment coaching. So I'll talk more about my investment stories when I'm selling Confidence to Cash, my mastermind, very business directed stuff, because it's these people need to hear this because it's relatable. My social media story, I started saying more of the date, my first social media post, how social media changed my life when I was selling Scale. And even I did a social media program early 2019. Some of you guys were in it. It's very different than what this is. But I was telling my social media story back then of how it changed my life. So I would tell your specific story to when you're leading people to a specific thing, when you're in a certain season of what you're selling. It makes sense because people see what you're selling and coaching them through, you've been through, and they relate to you on a whole different vibe. My money success, like I said, selling confidence to cash. The year my father passed away is a mindset empowerment type of vibe. So yes, it makes sense to tell the story of what it relates to, but also you could have some kind of life story that has no relation to, say you have this incredible story about something that happened in your life, but you sell fitness coaching. That could still be relevant because when someone goes through a fitness transformation, it's about empowerment, it's about the journey, it's about struggle and turning into strength. So even though it's not a fitness story, it can still relate to the people who need to hear that, you know? So sometimes we think, there are coaches or people who are experts in food, right? But they don't have a food story, but they could tell a story about struggle in their life and speak to someone who's struggling with food and it still be relatable, right? So when to tell a specific story. And then I'm just going to read what's coming up. So Kara says, I remember feeling so alone as a stepmother and dealing with toxic co-parenting. And then I shared my heart, and at Holy Dynamite, other stepmamas needed support because they were going through a similar situation. It blew my mind. And this is where it gets vulnerable. Because you're like, oh my God, I went through this and now I'm going to share it. Like, I don't know if I want to share it. Or the stories come up of like, I don't know if I want to share this because family is going to see it or friends are going to see it. And it's like, we get it all in our heads. But think of if you shared your story in a way that feels good for you, the people that need to hear it and are like, thank you for sharing this. Like, thank you so much for sharing this. I'm in the middle. It's like, I feel like I'm in the middle of your story right now, but you give me hope. That is worth any fear or whatever we have about sharing our story. This is helping me so much, and I'm getting all ideas on my experiences now. Yes, and Erica says, Carissa, same, right? So what's going to help even more with coming up with your story is this is an activity that you can do. So this is literally an arrow, and it starts from your birth, and it goes until the present moment to date. And at the top is all of like the best memories of your life, the positive things, the things that you're like, oh my God, I'll never forget that happened in my life. And the things that we remember for a reason. We remember certain things for a reason. The negative things where you're like, oh my God, I'll never forget how awful that felt or how hard that was. That was the hardest day of my life. I'll never forget those moments. We remember them for a reason. So you can literally do this however, a way that works for you, of like from as far back as I can remember until today, what are like the best things and the worst things? And you're really just writing out the story. And you're gonna be like, oh my God, why do I remember that? Oh yeah, I remember that because this is what I was feeling. This is what I was going through. Or like, oh my God, I can't believe like that, the worst time of my life. But then all of a sudden you've got a positive and you're like, it brought me to this. It's literally, you're gonna create your story with just looking back on your life. And it's a very powerful thing. If you're like, I don't know what my story is, it's there. You've lived it. You've absolutely lived it. I thought the same thing. Yes, I've had that fear, but when I hear for someone that it helped them, it's so worth it. I like this exercise. Good. Wow, that could get intense AF, Erica says. It could. And this is just something to remember. Like, we don't have to share everything. If it's like uncomfortable and very personal and not in alignment to share, we don't have to share it. Like, we don't need to share things that is like, I feel bad sharing that. You can share parts of a story that are still real and raw and authentic and still you, but you're like, I'm going to leave that one part out, or I'm just not going to share it, you know? And it's also when it involves other people, it can be like, oh my God, how much do I share, not share? There can be boundaries there, and you create those yourself, right? but we all have a story, and it's very empowering to share it in a way that feels good, because you're going to touch people. You're going to reach people. And that's what sets you apart. It's part of your branding. Because when you start to share your people or your story, people are going to be like, I know your story. I know her for your story, right? People don't want to know everything. Sometimes it's best kept that way. Absolutely. So that can be an activity if you truly are like, maybe I've got more stories, or just a good empowering activity. Be like, what have I been through since birth? And either way, it's going to be beneficial. So story ideas. If you're like, I don't even know, but a lot of you guys have ideas coming up, which is amazing. How you got started doing what you're doing. How did it start? Why are you coaching fitness? Why are you coaching nutrition? Why are you coaching on emotional eating? Why are you how did you get started? Why you got started? How you got started? Your own journey, your own transformation through whatever it is that you're helping people get through. Your current personal development is a story. Currently, I'm working on blah, 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 and sharing that with your audience. It's a story of saying, hey, I'm learning, I'm growing as a leader, and sharing that. Any experiences that have shaped you, and you look back and you're like, I learned that lesson, and I'll never forget that event and that thing, and that experience changed me. Then versus now, everyone's doing the whole 10-year thing, like back then and now, right? But it's a story. And that's why those things are so popular, is because people are like, oh my God, that's what you were like 10 years ago, and now you're here? Whoa. That's why these before and afters of anything are so, like, they go viral and they connect, they like get so much attention on social media, is because it's a story and people like it captivated by it. Your pain, your mistakes, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I can't believe I'm sharing this. It's like, this is what I wouldn't do, or this is my journey to success, and look at all the mistakes I made. It's relatable. The steps that you took to get to wherever you're taking your clients or taking the people who are following you, right? Like, since Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even yesterday, my content was geared towards me living my life. Eric's home, it's Christmas. Got so much engagement on social media. And then when I shared the story of when I first moved in with him, like, people like, oh my God, like someone even commented on it and said, now that's a story to tell. And it's just like, it's my life. I didn't have to think about it. It's just what I'm going through, what I've been through. And I know that people can relate, and that's why it works. Okay. I've been doing this activity. What have I been doing since birth? Yes. My 10 years ago was an entirely different woman. Now she has made decisions and choices. Yeah. And like, who here loves seeing people's, like, hearing about people's story? Like, how did they get there? What did they do? What were they like before? Now they're this? Oh my God. It gives you a sense of hope of like, this is where I'm at now. Imagine where I'll be at in 10 years. Imagine a year from now. Like, it's just very, very beautiful to read other people's experiences, and it's very beautiful to share your own. So in your story, get specific about certain things. So the numbers of my investments, people remember. The date of my first social media post, people remember, right? Like, specific things, if you can, get specific, so then people, like, those things stand out to them. 10 years is a long time. So many stories to share. Personal development, huge thing for me to share. Yeah. Like 10 years ago, I'm like, this 1 year I can't even put into one post. You want me to put 10 into one? Like, I'm writing a book. This is not a post. This is a book. But it's like the big takeaways. I always end up blabbling. I have problems shortening stories. So take the main takeaways, the biggest things. Like, did you move across the country? Was it one thing you did that led to this? Like the main takeaways, the pain points, the lowest points and the highest points that are really gonna, that you like do not forget, that are so vivid in your memory. Those are the things that should be in your story, your post, in your videos and every way that you say them, because those are the things that connect with people who are like, oh my God, I so get that. Oh my God, that's huge. Oh my God, that feels low. Oh my God, that high is amazing, right? It's the emotion with the story. It's the emotion with the story. Okay. There's a lot with branding. So brand awareness. We want to increase our brand awareness to the point where people are like, oh, Erica, I know your story. I can tell your story for you. You don't need to tell your story. I'm going to tell it for you. We want to increase our brand awareness to the point that people are sending you things in the mail because it reminds them of you. Like I said, I receive unicorn videos from strangers. I have people send me things like, oh my God, look, it's hot pink, Steph, I think of you. I had someone yesterday who I love and adore, who is going to be a speaker at the 2020 Courageously Confident Summit, just putting a plug in there. She goes, Steph, she messages me, she goes, Steph, where do you get your big mirror selfie? Like I'm known for that I can teach people how to buy a mirror selfie. A selfie mirror, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like they know me for that. They think of that. When they think of selfies, they think of me. Little things like that. So how do we increase our brand awareness? So things like similarity, similar colors, graphic vibes, but more than that, like similar things. Like I said, I wear this thing all the time. It's like animal print. It's like the lipstick. It's how I look. It's how I talk. It's just me. It's just me, right? But repetition with your brand names, your brand programs, I don't know why it happened, but it evolved. There's so many C's. Confidence to cash, courageously confident. You know, there's so many C's in my brand. I don't know where it comes from, but it just happened. Becoming part of people's routine. So maybe posting at similar times if you can. Again, this is not detrimental, but if you can, you're having your own social media posting routines, whatever works for you. Daily podcasts, or a certain day that your podcast goes out. Like on every Wednesday, people are like, I know her podcast is coming. I can't wait for Wednesday. My commute to work, they're like, I cannot wait, right? If there's a certain thing you do, for example, for me on my IG story, it's like every morning, it's like I show up, here I am, good morning. It's just brand awareness, becoming part of people's routine. Like, oh, no, I'm not watching anything at 8 o'clock on TV. If I know that, you know, Ashley's on a live, I'm going to watch her live. Like, we're turning her on the big screen. Like, you know what I mean? It's like bringing yourself into people's routines, into people's days. You know, scripting themes. Maybe it's the way that you talk. Your intros are the same. People know your intro. Like, it's a vibe. It's a thing, right? Whether it's a recording or just the way that you started off. Like I mentioned, my IG stories, the same post every morning. Your language and your tone is the same because it's just you, right? Content themes, like we talked about in the content module, of like people know you talk about these certain topics in different ways, so they know you for it. And when they hear about whatever it is, they think of you because you talk about this. Brand awareness. So brand positioning is very similar. What should you brand? Yourself. And I don't mean go get a tattoo and be like, I'm branded. But like, I'm a brand. I'm a personal brand. We're a brand. We're on social media. Your persona, your energy, your vibe, your offers offer awareness, right? So your offers are branded in terms of branding, but when you talk about your offer, you speak the name of what it's called. So when people think of confidence to cash, they think of Stephanie Schultz. When people think of courageously confident, Stephanie Schultz, right? You can brand if you have methods. Do you teach a method in your anything? Do you have a method? You teach a blah, blah, blah method. You could brand it. You could call it something. So when you talk about your program, you can say, I teach the blah, blah, blah method, and people think of you when they think of a method. That could be something. Your community. Some people call their community like the whatever. I call it like the CC girls. CC girls, right? Like that was literally in a video, right? You can call your community something. So all of these things, your brand brings all of these things together with the way that you do it in a very similar way. It's all done in a certain vibe, so you feel the same vibe through yourself, through your business platforms, through your programs, and your community. Okay, so let's see what's coming up. Okay, So can I share things that were mistakes in my youth, but the lessons I learned and how I can see it now? Absolutely. That's the story. Be like, the things that I've done in the past and where it has brought me now. And that's one anybody in here could do. And you can relate it. You can make it more, you can make it broad. You can make it specific to your content, to what you coach and what you teach. You absolutely, like if it's food, if your food, like the food mistakes I used to make versus the food habits I have now, the business mistakes I used to make versus what I do now, the fitness mistakes I used to make versus what I do now. That's a huge, like those are all huge ones. Everyone's like, oh, right? Like, oh, the parenting mistakes I used to make versus how I parent now. If you're like a social media coach, it's like how I used to show up on social media versus how I do it now. Yeah. I watch your stories every day. Kara says there are stories I search for because they tell a story of their day. Yeah. People literally search like, okay, let me go see what so-and-so's did today, because you feel like I'm going to experience something through it. And that's a brand. Like I've created a brand through my story. And to a point, the point for all of us is it to go beyond just, I'm about this, I sell this, I can teach you this, but to create, like I talked about, that people literally come on vacation with me through their phones. People like literally become more obsessed with my life. They love what I sell and teach, but they love my life and who I am, that they're obsessed with all of it and they love all of it. That is beauty, because that's when, like, so for me personally, and who can here relate? I want to share on social media and I want to impact people. Who here wants to impact people? Yeah? You want to help people get through something to a result. You want to help transform people's lives. You want to impact, you want to teach. But you also want people to love you. That's not a bad thing. You want people to love you. You want people to be like, you have taught me this, you have impacted my life, and I love you. Like I love you as a person. Like I love your family. Like, and it's just like, it doesn't even sound creepy to me. It's like, I know about you. I love you as a person. Like you've impacted me. You've helped me with so much. And I honestly just love you. And no one can feel that unless we share. So that's why branding is not just like, here's a graphic and a logo. It's like, here's my story. This is me. I love the color pink. I got a unicorn from my husband's parents. And it's just like unapologetically sharing who you are and allowing yourself to feel so freaking good in that and confident in that. And that's the hardest part. Because like we talked about, the fear can come up. So working on showing up as your authentic self, allowing yourself to grow and change, because we're always growing and changing. And I look at my social media as I'm taking you through my life. Like I didn't go back and delete old posts. I was like, yeah, that was me. And here I am now. And in a year it'll be different. In 2 years it'll be different. 10 years it'll be different. Like I'm showing you the journey of my life on my social media. Welcome to the ride. I used to only be fitness. And then I was like, well, I've changed. So some of you are going to come. Some of you are going to leave. Some of you still only love fitness but are following me because you just like the story of my life. And so if you have, does anyone in here have dreams of creating something bigger than just selling programs online? Like you want people to come to your events. You want to have retreats where you're like, these people come to hang out with me. You want to create like a free YouTube channel where people are just like obsessed with and they go to. Like you want something bigger than just the online thing. It's like in person, it's deeper. Everyone's like, me, yes. When I look back and see how emotionally unintelligent I used to be and acted in real life, I want to have retreats and speak at large audiences. My old post, yes. Yes, I already do in-person workshops, but want to do way more retreats. Hell yes, yes, for sure. So many of those things, right? So when we take people on a journey, or rather, why would someone come to your retreat? Because they know you and they love you. Why would someone come to your event? Because they know you and they love you. Retreats, workshops, public engagements, and so much more. Hashtag big goals. Yes. Like, and that happens when and people come to that, like, no freaking brainer. I'm going to come to that when people are like, I love you already. I'm on the ride on your social media and I'm going to come to the next level with you. Like, that's huge. They have to feel connection and see that you also have done the work. Yes, absolutely. Connection. So going beyond the surface level and creating something bigger than online is huge. Okay. So how do you feel right now about branding? How do you feel right now about branding? Like, okay, branding is just me. Branding is the evolution of me going through what I'm going through. Branding is how I want people to feel when they look at my stuff. Branding is my expression. Branding doesn't have to be crazy. Branding is just you. Just need to share more me. Yes. Love branding, evolution, life, who I am. Yeah. It doesn't have to be always the perfectly curated thing that you send off to someone to design. Branding is you, your vibe, your energy. And the more that you get confident in that, the more that people are going to be like, I'm pulled towards this, because they feel your energy from it. They feel a vibe from it. So the beginning of my branding, although I think I was very good at this, I think naturally from the beginning, but I felt disconnected from what I was creating. I was like, okay, I just need photos. Okay, here's me. But now, this is not just a business for me. This is an outlet to expressing myself. So my branding has evolved into a little bit more, like a lot more of my personality. And then I look at that with my impact growth has gone up. My business growth has gone up. My brand recognition has gone up as I became more authentic. So really just look at, like, what do I love? What am I about? Who am I? And how can I share that more? And you're going to see people really resonate more. And your business, if that's what you want to grow as well, it's going to captivate more. Erica says, I'll never forget the photo of you in the street with all the balloons. I love that photo, right? Like, people will never forget that. And I've used that. I've sold that program that I did it for twice. But the balloon photos will never be forgotten, because it's like those photos and that experience for me was one of the best experiences of my life. When I said, hello, I'd like to buy 500 balloons. And I walked around my town with all these balloons. We made a video. Like, to me, that is the most amazing thing. That's amazing memory. But also the fact that people will never forget that, and those are timeless photos, is just so fun. I feel that. I've tried to fit a weird mold at first, and now I'm trying to just use my colors and such as an extension of my personality, and it's so much easier. Yeah. It's not like, oh, I started with blue, so I need to keep blue in every post. It's just like, I vibe with blue. If there's blue there, it's cool, but it's more about the way that I say it and who I am. And that's like so much less pressure than being like, I need to find the perfect blue to fit into this. It's more of like, do you get my vibe? Yeah, this is my vibe. And that's when the magic can happen if you work with a photographer or graphic designer and they really understand personal branding and they know you and they get you. Like, if I send my stuff to Shauna or I take a photo shoot with Brian, my photographer, like, you know me, you know what I'm about. I don't need to explain to you what I'm creating. You know what I'm about. So it becomes very easy. So if you can find those people or experiment with new people and find those people, that'll be huge for when you create stuff. Okay. So the homework is going to be, in my opinion, very fun. Creating a mood board for your brand. Now, this can include, and I do not want you to spend like 3 hours doing this. I want you to spend 10 minutes doing this. Like we don't have a lot of time in our life, okay? So 10 minutes. I want you to, you can already use stuff you have. You can use a combination of stuff you have with stuff you want to like inspo posts or whatever you pull from. Or if you're like, I don't even know what my brand is, so it's all going to be inspiration, create a mood board. And it could be like pictures, but also it could be words of like how you want people to feel. It could be all kinds of things, like throw something together on Canva, something that's super easy for you to do. And it could be a creation of what you already have, but also a vision for what you really want to create. And explain post it to the group and explain like, this is what it is. Like, how do you feel? Like ask the group, how do you feel when you look at this, to get feedback? That's number one. That should be really fun and easy. And number two is come up with a few stories, or maybe you already have some, but think about 2 or 3 key stories that are timeless stories that you can have to share right now. And you can share them as full posts in the group, or you can be like, just like point form, my transformation, my fitness transformation, blah, 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 whatever you want, but you don't feel like you need to share a whole post, but maybe that's good practice for you. Like, what are some stories I can share? By mood board, the mood we want our followers to have. Yeah. So what you want people to feel when they look at your content. And it can include what you already have if you have examples of those. I'm excited for this. Kara says, yes. So I'll post an official thing in the group of like, this is what you need to do, okay? On, what day is it? On Wednesday, it's gonna most likely be a live, unless I'm feeling it should be on Zoom, is gonna be a full-on Q&A. Thursday is the IG audit. So, or not IG, but full social media audit. If you have not taken advantage of getting this done, it's a bonus, and it's paid for if you get yours done, because I literally do this in one-on-ones with people. Like it's a full-on like hour to hour and a half long thing I do with people. But in the context of this, it's $199 to get your full social media audited, like in depth. I normally do this from like $700 to $1,000 depending. And you're getting the full same experience on here, but it's just condensed, and because it's in the group. So people have already done it. Chris is doing it. Matt is doing it. Jennifer is doing it. So there's a spot for 1 or 2 more people if you want like a full-on audit where I dive into your content, your messaging, every single thing. Yes. So everyone can watch, but the benefit is from the people who are getting the audit of it's on your specific social media. And that, like, we can learn from other people's audits and like, oh, that's a good tip. But if you want true, like in-depth, I want you to look at my stuff and really get good specific feedback, that is extremely valuable. Okay. Question for the Q&A. Could we ask a question if we're not able to make it live? Yes. So I'm going to make a post and say, this is the Q&A feed. And then I'll read off of that during the Q&A. That'll all be explained. So absolutely, your question will get answered if you're not there. I need the audit, LOL. If you want the audit, reach out to me if you really, really want an audit. In-depth audit of your Instagram, and then a main Facebook platform, okay? And it'll be on Zoom. It'll be recorded. Everyone can watch, but only the people who want an in-depth audit will have it done. So I'm very, very excited. That's what's going to happen. And then I went above and beyond by doing the audits of what I was going to do in the program. Then we're going to have another final Q&A call / final call. So I've even extended it. So the program's actually 2.5 weeks. And I said it was 2. But you guys get to be in here for the whole month to catch up and all the things. So just kind of a guideline of what's happening. Erica's like, I'm down, I'll DM you. Amazing. DMs are my fave. So mood board, I cannot wait. Stories, I cannot wait for you guys to dive into. This is good. Branding is everything to set you apart. Okay. So this was an amazing training. I'll see you guys on Wednesday, I'll set you up for what you need to know for Q&A, and then I'll see you again on Thursday. I'll just see you everywhere all day. All day, every day. Okay, you are so welcome. You're amazing. I'll see you ladies in the group. And if you need anything, post in there. Have a fabulous night. Bye, guys.